Imagine you've just heard some upsetting news from a close friend. They're going through a tough time and they turn to you for support. How do you respond? Do you tell them, "I'm so sorry you're going through this"? Or do you say, "I can't imagine how hard this must be for you, but I'm here to listen"? These two responses might seem similar, but they come from fundamentally different places: sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is feeling pity for someone else's misfortune. It's the classic "I'm sorry for your loss" line we often hear. Empathy, on the other hand, is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. It's standing in their shoes, seeing the world through their eyes, and genuinely feeling their pain or joy as if it were your own. But why does this distinction matter so much in our interactions and relationships? Why sympathy falls short? Let's start by looking at sympathy. When we offer sympathy, we acknowledge someone else's suffering, but we maintain a certain emotional distance. This distance can sometimes feel comforting. It protects us from getting too involved. However, it also runs the risk of making the other person feel isolated or misunderstood. Have you ever shared something deeply personal only to receive a response that felt rehearsed or detached? That's the pitfall of sympathy. The power of empathy. Empathy breaks down barriers and builds deeper connections. It's about more than just acknowledging someone's feelings. It's about immersing yourself in their emotional world. Brené Brown, a research professor known for her work on vulnerability and empathy, says, "Empathy is feeling with people. It's sitting with someone in their pain, without trying to fix it or offering hollow reassurances. Imagine you're having a terrible day at work. A sympathetic response might be, 'That sounds really tough. I'm sorry you're dealing with this.' An empathetic response would be, 'Wow, that must be incredibly frustrating and exhausting. Do you want to talk more about it?' The difference is subtle but profound. The empathetic response invites a deeper conversation and offers a safe space for the other person to share more openly. Building empathy, a skill worth cultivating. So, how can we become more empathetic? It starts with listening, not just hearing words, but really listening. This means putting aside our own judgments and focusing entirely on the other person's experience. It's about being present in the moment and showing that we genuinely care. Ask yourself, when was the last time you felt truly heard? How did it make you feel? Chances are it left a lasting impression. That's the power of empathy. It validates our experiences and emotions, making us feel less alone. The impact of empathy in daily life. Empathy isn't just for moments of crisis. It's a skill that enhances everyday interactions. At work, empathetic leaders foster a supportive and collaborative environment. They understand that their team members are human beings with unique challenges and aspirations. In friendships and romantic relationships, empathy builds trust and intimacy. It's the foundation of meaningful connections. Consider this. How would your relationships change if you made a conscious effort to be more empathetic? How might it transform the way you communicate and connect with others? The empathy-sympathy spectrum. It's important to recognize that empathy and sympathy exist on a spectrum, and sometimes our responses will fall somewhere in between. The key is to strive for more empathetic interactions, especially when someone reaches out to us in distress. This doesn't mean we must absorb their pain or take on their burdens, but it does mean being present and validating their feelings. Overcoming empathy fatigue. There's a common concern that being too empathetic can lead to emotional burnout, especially for those in caregiving roles. This is known as empathy fatigue. It's crucial to balance empathy with self-care. Setting boundaries, practicing mindfulness, and seeking support when needed are all ways to maintain emotional health while being there for others. Conclusion: choosing empathy. In a world where we often rush through our days, checking off tasks and managing our own stress, taking the time to connect empathetically can feel like a revolutionary act. It requires patience, vulnerability, and a willingness to step outside ourselves. But the rewards are immense. Empathy deepens our relationships, enriches our interactions, and ultimately makes us more compassionate human beings. So next time someone turns to you in a moment of need, ask yourself, am I offering sympathy or am I truly being empathetic? Your choice can make all the difference.